Yep. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the March 19th, 2018 Douglas Conservation Commission meeting on Monday at 7:03. And first we have a public hearing for 56 West Street, Cliff Van Reid. They've asked for it to be rescheduled for Tuesday, April 17th at 7:00 p.m.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for 56 West Street, Cliff Van Reid to Tuesday, April 17th at 7 p.m.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It is.
I will not be here.
Okay. And we can, who are you here for?
I'm Lafayette 43 Southeast Main.
Joe, we could take you right now if you're ready.
That's fine.
Okay, because it's just a public meeting. Do you have the ad from the paper?
I don't. I got the confirmation on my phone.
Yeah, let's see if nobody printed it.
Do you want to read it from my phone?
Yeah, I'm going to try to pull it up.
I'm pretty sure I saw it today on my public notices, unless she already.
Sorry, I got tied up with the storms. I haven't had a chance to print it.
When did you advertise?
Everything's a blur right now, I'm sure. I think I put it in the week of...
Oh, I got it right here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Is that good enough for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. 3-2, you advertised.
The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing, or a public meeting, sorry, for Ray Lafayette
Yes.
on March 19th, 2018 at 7:15 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40. Proposed request for determination of applicability work location is 43 Southeast Main Street, and the applicant is requesting permission to remove and install new garage. Thanks, Tracy. Okay, so let us know what you're proposing, even though it's a new garage. See, it did take some
Do you have
pictures.
Yeah, you got, I know I submitted a copy in with everything.
Let's see. Here's a small plan. Oh, that's okay.
This is the plan I submitted to the ZBA.
Yeah, well, we have to know where the wetlands are.
Oh,
So
yeah, I
that's-
did give you, there's a big copy in the file,
Oh, okay.
also. Shows the wetlands, plus I put the proposed garage location to the old. So the amount of
Oh,
land.
so you're taking down a garage.
Yes, I'm gonna take down
Okay.
the existing garage
That's the
and
garage.
put a new
Which one
one.
would you like? This one? What's after this?
So the ZBA put me on continuance, so I don't have their confirmation yet,
Okay.
whether they'll approve it or not. But, so as you can see is where the old garage is inside the 50-foot buffer to the new garage, I'm pretty much only using the same amount of square footage inside the 50-foot buffer. If the ZBA allows me to put it in the same, where I want it.
40 by 30. Bigger than my house. That's some
Literally.
garage.
Well, I have my grandfather's antique tractors.
Yeah, nice.
So I wanted to try to keep them inside.
Yeah.
So what's it gonna entail? Do you need to put in any kind of foundation or,
Yeah, so I'm going to have to put a new foundation in.
so there's excavation involved?
Yeah, but very minor.
Yeah, but we need erosion control.
Yes, as you can see in the blue dotted lines,
Okay,
that's where we put the erosion control.
okay,
This is where we'll put the spill file.
okay.
And the hole will only be open for 3 days. They'll be all backfilled within 3 days.
And it's an RDA. No DEP comment.
The new one is, the
Yellow.
proposed garage not shown here?
Yes, it's
It's
in yellow.
existing,
Existing is
and the yellow is the new.
proposed.
Do you think you
That's
need
yellow?
25 feet from the erosion control to the garage?
That yellow is faint. Yeah,
You've got a long way from
it's offset.
the garage to the erosion control here.
Well, I can move it closer, I just use the existing where we had it before, the erosion control.
Yeah, so the tree line won't change.
Yeah,
Right, but there could be creeping in.
Well, there's probably already one there, because that's where the well is, right?
yeah, the well,
Shallow well.
And so there's already lawn between the existing garage and the
Yes.
tree line.
yeah.
What does Steve have for comments?
He didn't have any, he just printed some pictures.
What's the existing foundation? Is it fieldstone? Is it 4 feet? What's the existing like?
As far as I know, the existing is the foundation in the ground.
What kind is it?
I haven't excavated.
You can't see it?
No, it's a garage.
Yeah.
It's not part of my house.
I
So
know.
I would have to dig
You
to
can't
find.
see from the outside?
No,
There you go.
Must go right to the
it
ground.
goes right to the ground.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't even started excavating nothing. I don't want to,
Oh, it looks like it's got a
Poured
little-
foundation.
so,
It's a poured concrete. I was
So
saying
the
if it
house
was
is
stone.
poured.
footing one.
Yeah,
the house is poured, so I can only assume the garage is gonna be the same.
Okay.
Nothing stone.
okay.
So the new one will be actually a little bit further away from the wetland, right? If I
That's,
can make
yeah,
out
that's my goal.
this
was to-
Yellow.
Well, it's the same, there's the same amount over here as there is over here,
Yeah, and the
so
50-foot buffer, yeah.
it's kind of just moving it. But we're swapping
Swapping around.
lawn for lawn. So
It's an RDA, so it could be a negative, but with the condition that,
does the application state about the erosion controls? Just like, is it in writing somewhere?
remove old garage and install new garage. Doesn't mention erosion controls, that would be our condition.
Or does it say anything as per submitted plan?
Probably not.
No. We can put that as a condition.
Yeah, I think, let's condition that Steve approve the erosion controls before work starts.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna do the silk fence with the weevil down below,
Yeah, the wall.
The
the
wattle?
wattle.
We will swallow.
Yeah,
They will, they wobble.
yeah,
Okay.
So you're gonna do silt fence towed in?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm fine with it. Make a motion to issue a negative determination for 43 Southeast Main Street.
Second.
With the condition,
That Steve review the straw wattle
Yeah.
placement prior
Straw
to
wattle and silt
commencement.
fence.
And still
Yep.
fence?
Second.
and the stockpile as per the plan submitted.
You didn't put a date on here, right? I'll just put revised today's date. Is that okay?
Down here. And you can highlight it. if you want. Somebody left a highlighter foolishly.
I gotta use that.
Copy room.
Here.
Yeah, with the added conditions, I'll amend my motion.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So, well, I don't think she's typed that up, so it will be at the next meeting, we'll sign that.
Yeah.
7 East.
Like I said, I'm still waiting on the approval from the ZBA.
Oh,
so-
okay,
So the ZBA pushed me off until April, so.
Yeah.
okay,
So-
and I'm sure that they'll approve it, because you were just as close with the
Yeah.
other one, weren't you?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just a matter of getting them to,
Because if they don't approve it, then you have to come back to us again.
yes,
All right,
yes.
okay.
If they deny me, it pretty much it puts me off for 2 years before I can do anything. So,
Right, yeah.
but they want to me to put the wetlands on the ZBA plan. So, for the next one.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
okay.
that's a good idea. All right, can I have those plans, Mike?
This one? This one?
Yep. Thank you. Okay, thanks, have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night too.
We've got plenty of time now. Legal Club is supposed to come in at 7:30.
Can anybody else read that clock with the glare? I honestly.
Really? You can't see
7:15.
it? It's almost.
The glare's right over the second hand, and I can't see it at all.
All right, so let's do some minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I finished the December. That's all I've got so far.
All right, we'll do that then. So, December.
You know, first page on 135 Webster, the second paragraph in, it says, the last sentence of the second paragraph says, most of the garage will be within the 50. I had in my notes that everything was within the 100, but everything was outside of the 50. Does anybody have notes either way? Because that's like,
No.
I think it's 50 to 100.
yeah. So I think
Where's
she meant to say within between 50 and 100,
Yeah.
but the way she stated it within the 50 means an entirely different thing. So I
Most
think
of the garage will be within 100 then?
no, it should say everything is outside of the 50.
Yeah,
Which implies that it's somewhere between 50 and 100.
landing, yeah.
We can finish these. Take a minute.
And then I just noticed the question mark on page 3.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, who is that? I mean, you
So-
think Maria could call up Dave Crossman and say, where are you from?
Which one is it?
Right here.
Oh,
You know where he's from?
C&C Associates? I hadn't recognized him. I didn't recognize him,
No.
but he provided a plan to us, this meeting. It could be, it's possibly in the
yeah.
file. He had.
But it was the old original plan with the wrong old flagging from 98, I think. And so he wouldn't have been, I think that was like Gurrier and Howland or
Oh, I
somebody
thought he
way
had
back
done
when.
some little report or something.
Oh, well, that's possible. I don't remember. Well, Maria will have to look it up. Or we can just put Dave Crossman, representative,
It's B&C Associates, Inc.
B and C,
B&C, yeah.
Associates Inc. Okay, very
From
good.
Hudson.
And that's all I had. Do you have anything else on that, Brandon? Mike?
No.
Anything? Tracy?
No, that's it.
Do I have a motion?
Move that we accept the meeting minutes of December 4th, 2017 as amended.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seems like so long ago.
It was.
Doing that,
Okay, next,
hang around forever.
we have a public a public meeting for Southeast Main Street, Dudley Pond, Blackstone Valley Beagle Club. Do you want to come up now, or
Sure.
are you expecting anyone else?
Not expecting, not that I know
Okay,
anything else.
just want to make sure you're all here, because we can take you early.
Perfect.
It's just a public meeting, not a hearing. And you have the ad from the paper. So I can read it. Thank you. The Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Blackstone Valley Beagle Club on March 19th, 2018 at 7:30 in Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40. The proposed request for determination of applicability work location is Southeast Main Street, and the applicant is requesting permission to maintain, repair, and add impervious fill to crest of existing dam with associated site work. And you could introduce yourselves.
Jim Tassino, member of the Beagle Club, Guarantee Builders.
And I'm Dennis Buffalo, a member of the Beagle Club.
Okay, had you signed in?
Yes.
Okay, great. Go ahead and let us know what you want to do.
So that, you guys had a request for determination that was filed in 2010. I guess we thought that was still good, and when we looked into it, it wasn't. A dam needs maintenance all the time. They don't do a very good job of maintaining the dam, so we have a plan to maintain the dam going forward. We have
Who's they, by the
the
way?
Beagle Club.
Okay, so they're not doing it?
Well, we're volunteers, so we all are gonna do it. So
Okay.
Guarantee Builders is gonna do the lion's share of the heavy lifting to get it to a point where it's just regular maintenance going forward. But a dam, there's been a lot of damage from the erosion, from the topping, because the control wasn't working.
Does that look familiar?
Yeah, that's the
These are
dam.
pictures that
Yeah.
Steve took. Do you know where the dam is? You all know where it is?
Yes.
So just a brief history of the dam. That was originally a stream way back when Christ was a child, and they made it an ice pond. That was an ice pond where they used to harvest ice and put it in a couple of buildings that were on the left side of the dam if you're looking at it from the street. So over the years, the Fish and Game Club maintained it, and then at some point, the Fish and Game Club gave it to the Beagle Club when they dissolved for 2 life memberships and a pack of peanut butter crackers. So unbeknownst to the Beagle Club, they gave them the memberships and the peanut butter crackers, and they gave them the dam, which some might say that was sort of a bad deal. But, you know, they definitely shouldn't have did the peanut butter crackers. So, long story short, they've used it for a bunch of community stuff. So they've had fishing derbies there, kids fish there. They do put some fish in it in the beginning of April for a fishing derby in April. That's sort of been an annual thing for the community. And there's always fish in there, so kids will be fishing there. There's a lot of ice skating that goes on there. One time it was lit. They used to have some
Yeah.
spotlights on, it's not lit up anymore. So we want to get it to the point where we can make it easy maintainable. So it'll be rebuilding the wall, putting some pipe in where there used to be just a stone culvert, all within the earthen berm and within 10 feet of the earthen berm, which is pretty standard for maintenance permits for earthen type of dams. So, you know, it gives us the earthen berm and then 10 feet on either side of that. I don't know if that area downstream is a protectable resource right there. There seems to be a little pooling where the highway department have put some pipes underneath that road.
Well,
4 or 5 years
it's a
ago.
stream there, because it's an
It's a
outflow, so it's
stream,
under
yeah.
conservation.
So we do have the control fixed now, so now we have the level where it should be for this time of year. And we want to, right now, we don't have any seepage through the banking, so we want to fix the wall, put the pipe in, use some flowable fill to seal the voids in the earthen dam. And then maybe next, so then we want to get that water back up for April, mid-April, so we can have the fishing derby again. And then next fall, when we drain the dam, because our control will work, we want to fix the sluiceway, patch up the concrete, and just work on some of the stuff that's been damaged over time on that end. So it's pretty simple.
It's always wet across the street.
Well, you know,
Is that,
it,
the
so.
dam working or the dam not working?
It is working.
It is working now. So what had happened before is there were a lot of erosion. So what happens when the water level's high in the dam, you get seepage through places in the earthen dam. So the idea is that the water will be down. Right now, there's no seepage, it's just coming out the control. So when we repair that, we'll stop the seepage, so we'll be able to regulate that without it weeping on all areas of the dam. So it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. So 2 things really need to happen. So I'm for fixing it because I think the fishing derby, the kids skating, every time I've been there, there's been a kid fishing or a couple of kids skating, every time that I've been there during the day. It either needs to be fixed or it needs to be breached and put back to the way it was before they made it an ice dam. One of
Used to be
the
a
other.
field.
Right, it used to be a field with a creek going through it that someone dammed it up. It would be cheaper in the long run. Right now, they have a ton of volunteers and they have a ton of support for the project. They have a little bit of money to pay for some expenses. So we definitely can get it back to where it needs to be. But there is a cost over time to maintain that. So I think that they should either try to get some other groups to partner with them for some community events. It's a great location. It's a neat resource. I know there's a development up gradient to that. There's some, so I saw some plans for some development on the uphill side. So maybe somebody else someday can partner with them to do something else. I just think that once we fix it, there is gonna be an annual cost to, cleaning and pruning and cutting and filling. I mean, dams, earthen dams erode, that's what happens. So I don't think it's a good deal for them to own it, but they need to get it at least back up and running for the fishing derby.
So, let's see if there's anything else in the folder.
So there's a berm there and
So the dam is the berm, the control is the valve, and the spillway or the sluiceway is the concrete structure. The dam is the dirt berm, that's the dam part of it. That's holding back the water.
And the control, that was,
So right now, if you've got a chance to go up there, we got the water way down. That's the way you'd want it in March, before the rains in April. So you'd want to keep that control down, so then in the beginning of April, you could close up the control and start to fill it.
and who regulates that?
The Beagle Club will regulate it. It's not considered a high hazard dam, so it's their job to, I think when they gave the 2 memberships in those peanut butter crackers, it deserved a little more thought.
Yeah, well, because we've talked about dams before here in the commission, that realistically, adjusting a dam is an impact to a wetland, and that there should be a control plan
Protocol,
submitted to
like we
us
did.
as an NOI, which is what we've done before.
Well, when we're done with this, we're gonna have a dam maintenance plan.
Well, so I'm just kind
No,
of
we're talking
airing this
about
all,
while you're
all out.
repairing the
No, I'm not
dam.
even talking about that. I'm just talking, hey, we just started talking about a dam. Let's also talk about the fact that a dam is supposed to be maintained under an NOI, and we don't have an NOI for this dam.
Well, that's why they're doing the RDA, because they don't know.
That's not actually
if-
why they're doing the RDA right now. They're actually talking about repairs, and I'm talking about monitoring and maintenance and having an NOI for the continued maintenance of this. I'm first just making it clear that we don't have that. Like, this is not like, oh, we're gonna do a repair on something that's already permitted. And most dams aren't permitted because this is something that wasn't done in the past, but now is seen as a requirement under the Wetlands Protection Act. So I'm making first the point that this is a dam that is not currently under an active NOI that needs to be. And then secondly, we can talk about the proposal tonight, which is repairing it. But that's something they might want to know too, which is that if you're going to repair it and actively use it, they're going to need to file an NOI for maintaining it, because adjusting water levels of a pond is jurisdictional to the commission, and we need to review it to make sure that it's being done by best management practices. Because every time you open or close that control valve, you're actually influencing the stream.
Right, so you'd have to do it according to your plan that they would submit, but any dam management plan, it's usually one filing, and then they follow their plans, and when they deviate from their plan for whatever reason, then they might modify that plan. So that's what we're gonna get. When we're done this process, I wanna leave them with an operations plan that they can use for an NOI. The only thing is, I'm trying to make it so it's not load heavy, because if it's load heavy, they're not gonna be able to maintain it. And then they're gonna have to either try to get some other group to take it over, like recreation maybe, or somebody like that, or they're gonna have to, drain it down and just not fill it up. Because they're not gonna be able to afford to spend thousands.
Well,
I mean, they collect.
you're assuming that that's an option, but just draining it down and not filling it up
Yep.
actually is something that would have to be approved by us.
Yeah.
Because now
Or
you're
you
drying
wait
out.
till it
Well, not
rains.
draining it down, but just letting it go.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
about where they either make the repairs now, or that's the way it's gonna be, because it's gonna breach, and then there'll be nothing there. So, I mean, I wanna get it nice and use some products that won't erode as easy, like flowable fill inside the earthen dam, and, pipe instead of stone culverts, and a couple of things like that with the repair that I think are within our guidelines to do that for the repair. And then maybe the cost won't be so much. I mean, they've never really done anything to it. They've done a lot of
For some-
volunteer works with trimming, cutting, getting rid of the brush, the stuff that was wrecking the dam. But by the time they got rid of all of that growth, it's already damaged the earthen berm that caused the erosion.
So the request that they have for today is Remove mature trees within 10 feet of the dam area, including downstream toe. Monitor rotting stumps and fill with suitable material as needed. That doesn't make sense. Monitor rotting stumps. Add impervious fill and seed to crest of dam as a grass surface is more erosion resistant than sand. Place 3 inches of sacrificial surface of crushed stone on footpath. Previous negative determination expired on 5/4/2017.
But then you said there would be additional work being done. What, was it in the fall that you guys were then going to
In
do
the fall,
more?
there's a bunch of cracks and spalling concrete in the concrete spillway. So we'd want to repair those back to normal next time the water allowed us to do that. The water really needs to be down at some state. So full is up to the bottom of the spillway, is where it's stockable and fishable, and it promotes, I mean, the fish don't last long, they either go downstream or they get fished out.
We don't, we purchased about $800 worth of fish, but however many that is per pound, I'm really not sure. A couple hundred fish,
And then 1,700 kids show up and try to catch 700
60
fish.
fish.
Lots of worms.
All this stonework here?
That's the
is that
culvert.
the-
I'd say, because it's a dam, I don't think it's negative. I mean, I don't think it's a negative idea. For me, this is, it sounds like great work that you're gonna do, and I think it should be done. But I do think that we need to have a paper trail. I think there needs to be a filing for it.
It does say,
Especially because there's some
You're
stuff
adding-
you want to continue in the fall.
it says fill with suitable material as needed. We don't know what that is.
What is as needed, what's the suitable material, how much are you bringing in, where are the erosion controls, what kind of machinery are you using for it,
How are you
just
getting the
a
machinery?
sequence of
ready?
events actually
Yeah.
is really helpful when it comes to dam work. So that's the kind of stuff that goes with the filing. So I do think when it comes to something like a dam, that's the kind of thing that we generally need some information on, especially since this seems to have the potential for needing to be done in a couple of stages before it's finished. And so we can just keep track of what's being done at which stage, and that's why we have the filing process.
That was exactly what was issued the last time for the negative for maintenance. And then we got the DCR letter for non-compliance. So the Office of Dam Safety is gonna require them to do other things, which they're in the process of. So this is, I'm sure that you could write a sequence of events and it's gonna take a half a day to do the work. But it's failing. You can see it in the pictures. It's really failing. So needs to be, that's the same exact thing that was negative the last time in 2000 and whenever. The old one's in there, right? No.
Yeah, I have it here.
Is it failing because the plan was
Yeah, maybe.
faulty, or because
Yeah,
the
and
plan
I'm
wasn't
also
being
gonna say, I don't know if I was at
followed?
that meeting then when that got approved, so the point is,
Yeah.
I'm seeing these pictures and this is my reaction now.
Yeah.
And because we are permitting dams now. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing things differently
Yeah.
as we learn more, so no, I still stand by what I said.
Mike, do you have any comments?
No, I'm just curious, as I just said, is it faulty now because the old plan wasn't followed, or because the old plan didn't work?
I don't know if that's you there.
I think it was lack of maintenance.
Like, well, say we're really.
You didn't sign
And
it?
the
I did
beavers.
not sign it. I probably wasn't here that
All the
day.
beavers that killed, they destroyed us.
Yeah, so I did not sign it, I wasn't here that day.
Oh, I'm not saying you signed it. I didn't.
Oh, no, I was just
see
letting
the
you know,
number
in
of-
case you're
Oh, this is
interested.
real old.
Signatures.
Mary Lynn signed it.
She's still alive?
This was 2010. So, if there's any conditions up there. Remove trees, yeah, that's exactly the same.
I don't think we realized that it expired because the work wasn't complete like a normal. So what ends up happening is they do the work, they interact with Steve a little. Steve says it's expired. and instructs us to file again, and we filed again, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it'll happen if you make them file. I mean, I guess you could.
The thing is, between now and then, what also happened was the other dam work that we've done in terms of having them report water levels and
Just
whatnot.
the Guilford Dam?
The up on the, what is
Res.
that?
That was
Up
the
on
only
res.
one.
Yeah,
that-
and that all happened post this. So what
Right.
I'm saying is things have changed since this. We're doing business a little differently in terms of dams now. So there's a reason why, it's not arbitrary, the fact that the first time you submitted it, no problem, negative RDA. Now you're submitting it again for, to update it, to renew it. And I'm saying we really need documentation of a lot of information for this. There's a reason times have changed when it comes to dealing with dams. And so the conservation commissions are expected to step up, actually, much more so than in the past. This is in fact part of the resource. And in the past, Concom's were not pulling their weight in terms of staying on top of that resource. So that's why this is a conversation that we're having at the Fish and Wildlife Agency all the time about our Concom's pulling their weight on this.
Who's the controlling body for the dams? Because this is saying Department of Dam Safety, Office of Dam Safety at
Army Corps.
DCR.
Oh, well,
Army Corps of Engineers?
As far as the logistics,
earthing
they
dam.
get final say
Yeah.
on anything in
Yeah.
terms of how it's built, sure. But conditioning
Yeah.
in terms of wetland protection, resource protection is still us. Those are two different aspects of the
Does
dam.
Steve have a review
No.
report on this?
So we did come down, John came down and interacted with Steve at some point. That's how they dug up that old one and found out that it was expired. And that's why we're here now. I mean, I know that it won't get done this year.
So it'll continue to fall apart.
Probably a breach.
Because they're saying houses are 5 feet above the levels of the dam. Let's see, residential dwellings are located along Centerville Brook appear to be less than 5 feet above the brook surface in many areas. Failure of the dam would cause damage to Southeast Main Street immediately abutting the dam and access to properties in the vicinity. May not be possible. And the town put those pipes in. They did a RDA.
I don't remember, but I imagine it was.
How long ago do you think that is? I imagine they
3
probably.
years?
2 years?
Well, if it was that recent, maybe, because in the back.
Because it was
the town
working in
did
the
file.
stream portion.
Yeah, but before that, the town wasn't filing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the hazard classification, we've taken steps to get us removed from the high hazard classification. They hired an engineer to do surveys of those foundations, take topography at the lake, at the bottom of the lake, determine the volume. And he's in the process with them of revising their hazard to get them out of the high hazard class. Well, the class that they're in,
Significant.
significant.
So Boyd, what's your pleasure here?
You think you can get Steve instruction sequence?
I guess. I mean, sure, we can do anything. I just don't know if we're gonna do anything by this year. We actually, because, we actually wanted to have it done by now because of the water level. And you did have a bunch of storms that fluctuated the
So
water.
it's back
level.
up again.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't do it in the next couple of weeks, you're not gonna do it this year.
Yeah, there'd be no doing it in the next couple of weeks. Because everything keeps melting and then we get another snowstorm.
But we have it
and
controlled
melts
now. We have
in.
it controlled
Yeah.
now. I mean, I think it would probably just stay like that.
I think we can condition it to protect what you're talking about, Brandy?
No.
And then
No, because
have them.
the thing with me and dams is
Yeah.
that I think an engineer needs to tell us that everything's been done.
Yeah.
I don't know about dam engineering, so I can't review that and review a bunch of conditions and go, that's gonna take care of the water flow. I'm not
Yeah.
capable of doing that. So that's why I need it to be filed, because we just need to have somebody who knows what they're talking about, look over it and approve it, and then the responsibility goes to that person who's actually educated in that kind of thing.
But
Yeah,
now you're talking about the dam management thing, which,
I didn't say management, I just even mean constructing it. Whatever.
why
you're-
would you be responsible for the constructing of it when these people?
No, but
are-
I'm responsible for any resource impacts that happen if it was either done in a poor way or the result was not effective. So what I'm saying is, this is not the kind of, a dam is not the kind of thing that you, in my opinion, a dam is not the kind of thing that you condition on a negative. You need a filing, you need the right people to look it over. And I'm not saying it has to be a big affair. I'm not saying it has to be all complicated and a lot of, I'm just saying it needs to be officially in writing how it's going to be done so that the right people can read it and tell us, yes, this will be fine. And then we go, great, go for it. But it's all in writing and we've done it so that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. That's all I'm saying. And that means we've done our duty by watching out for the wetland. That's all.
yeah, I think they've engaged an engineer and they're working to take care of this letter right here. So when they're ready with their whole game plan, I'm sure they'd be able to come back and file. And then they know what they're
File
gonna,
for what?
for the
Maintaining it
additional
or for-
repairs and the management plan and the drawdowns and everything that we had them do for the Guilford.
But I
the
mean,
Guilford one.
you're saying additional repairs, but you think they should go ahead with
Well, I think they're gonna have the
preliminary repairs.
information by the time they're ready to do the fall work. I think their engineer will have the information for anything within that side.
Well, so I just don't think they should be messing with it until they have all that together. So I think they should.
Yeah, it's
file
already
it.
messed with though.
I hear you. I'm just saying, you're asking me my opinion, this is my opinion, which is don't monkey with it until you have the right people looking at it and you've got it all worked out and laid out. So, I mean, I'm not gonna approve something that I don't, when it comes to any kind of dam, I'm not gonna approve anything that I don't know that, for example, our town engineer hasn't taken a peek at and said, yeah, that looks good, because now he's stamped.
But actually, there is no plan.
Well, yeah, there's nothing, and so I'm certainly not gonna make up conditions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me tell you what you should do for a dam.
And
I
what
don't
type of
know.
material and.
How much you should bring in, what's your sequence. I don't know this kind of thing, and therefore I should not be pretending that I can tell you how to do it right. I can't. We need to have the right people. This is more than just a crossing. This is more important than that. So no,
And it's not like it's a little cow pond or,
you know, it
business road.
wouldn't even matter because there's a downstream that you have to think about. It's not about the pond itself only. It's about what happens downstream
Correct.
too.
So if they continue for one meeting, get you a plan and a construction sequence and the scope and have it stamped by an engineer, can they still do the repair work before they file their formal NOI?
So you mean an RDA that provided me with an engineer stamped plan and a sequence?
Yes.
Yeah, then it would be on that engineer. I mean, I think that's a much more convincing
They've
argument.
already got the information. They're just not quite ready yet. They've
Well,
got this.
I don't know that. I mean, you're
Stuff,
telling me
yeah,
this, but
yeah.
you don't know either. You haven't read the material. So I'm saying, if that came before me, that would be an entirely different request for determination. What I've got in front of me right now, I can't make a
Yeah.
call on that.
So do you want to vote on a negative or positive, or give them another 2 weeks? Do you think you can come up with an engineered plan, or
No, I mean, they're gonna have to spend money.
we can continue it for 2 weeks and see what you can come up with?
Yeah, I don't know if you.
And if they don't want to come up with a plan, then we'll make our decision.
Yeah, we can do that. Just give you guys at least the option of making a decision. So
Okay.
continuing? Or is it?
Yeah, why not? We'll do that. Continue it to April 2nd.
Make a motion to continue the RDA for Southeast Main Street Dudley Pond to April 2nd at
8, we'll go 8:20.
8:20.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Just so happens I have nothing to do on April 2nd.
And there's no blizzards or nor.
There'll probably be a
Yeah.
blizzard you watch.
April 1st. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
that
Is
dam
April 1st
safety, was
something
that
other than
Mike's?
April 1st?
This is mine.
Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
is.
What is
That's
it?
his.
Oh, yeah. Is it April 1st?
What?
Yeah. Is that Monday? or-
Sunday.
Why is that a holiday? If it's
Easter
only-
Monday.
Why is
Why is it a
Monday
meeting?
holiday?
The 16th,
Yeah.
No.
April 16th is a holiday.
Where did I see
Wait,
it?
so when did we just forward this until, we
The
continued
2nd.
this until the 2nd? There you go.
Which is not a holiday. No.
No, it's
Okay.
just that he happened to mention April Fool's on his way out,
Oh, okay.
which got a little confusing, that's all.
Anyway, so.
George Washington Day?
When? The 16th?
Is that Patriots Day? No, it's too soon.
Oh, yeah,
Marathon Monday.
that's right.
That's what it is.
It might be
Okay, we got a couple minutes.
Oh, Art, do it?
Veterans and
No,
Memorial
Patriots.
or
Patriots.
Patriots Day.
Oh, this is just discussion anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
we
let's
do
do the public meeting for 50 Southwest Main Street, Lawrence Bazile, Wetland Restoration Plan. And representing us is Art Allen from Ecotech. Welcome. Hello, everyone. And if you could all state your names.
Do they
for the
advertise?
Record. No, it's not an RDA, it's just, instead of putting it under discussion,
Yeah.
I asked Steve to put it at a time limit so that
Public meeting, so.
Art would have a time to come in.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Helped everybody.
Yeah. Now, the last one. Okay, so you can start,
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Mary Ann DePinto, 3 Oaks Environmental. I did the wetlands delineation that Art also reviewed, and proposing the restoration for the property. First of all, a little discussion about the actual wetland system that's there. You probably have the pictures in your file. Take a look at, that one has some information on the back that I need later, but not that one, the other one. That wetland is fed both by groundwater, but extensively by runoff from the street that directly flows through an opening from the roadside, right in through a pipe directly into the channel that feeds in eventually into Morse Pond. So the functions of that wetland are primarily prevention of pollution, protection of groundwater supply. So of the interests of the Wetlands Protection Act, there's also wildlife habitat involved, and so it's been renovating the stormwater that's been coming from the street and discharging to Morse Pond eventually. So we're looking at that wetland system as something that's effective in renovating stormwater and to try to improve the capacity for it to do that. You'll go into a little bit more about the restoration itself, but I had Patrick Conlon from Fish and Wildlife, Massachusetts Fish and Wildlife, come out to take a look at the property. He works for a program that actually gives out money, but for folks to maintain grasslands and shrublands and keep them that way in lieu of them having to revert to forest land. And wanted to take a look at this property and see if there was something to do to improve the shrubland, grassland habitat that's out there. I explained to him some of the plantings we were considering, and he offered some suggestions, different berry-producing shrubs and so on, that we'll get to shortly. The other thing he noted was the extensive invasives that were growing in amongst the shrubs and in the grassland area. There's oriental bittersweet in particular, and something else called black swallowwort. And the black swallowwort looks an awful lot like milkweed, and it attracts monarch butterflies to it, but it doesn't give them the same protection, the same advantage that milkweed does. And so it spells demise for the monarch butterflies if that's all they're feeding on.
Is that a vine?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It's actually poisonous to the
Yes.
monarchs.
Yeah. So the Patrick Conlon gave, and on the back of that other plan there's, he recommends a particular herbicide that is effective in controlling oriental bittersweet and the black swallowwort. It's something 4, Garland 4, thank you. He said, don't use the 3 because it volatilizes and can be hit non-target species. One of the things we're looking at is cutting those vines back and applying it to the stumps and killing off those invasives. The other thing he noted was that the shrubs there would make great habitat for warblers. And we discovered a few warbler nests, and warblers, because of climate change, have been moving north and are coming to Massachusetts now, and so it's a good warbler, and with all the other birds that are there, increasing the wild warbler population would be helpful. So if you want to talk a little bit about the structure of what's out there, and then I can...
Okay. Yeah, my name's David Feist with McClure Engineering. We went out there, last fall. I think we were here before. We, located the wetlands line that was delineated out here. It's showing the area here in green that was disturbed. If you'll remember from the last meeting we were here. What's being proposed is sort of 2 areas here. You have the round area here, which was the pond area, we'll call it. And then you have sort of this other area here where there was some disturbance, some pipes and other stuff that have been put in there. What's being proposed for the restoration is, removal of some of that, man-made infrastructure will come out of there. And then just, this area will be seeded, and Mary Ann has some specifications for how that would be repaired. The pond area, again, because of its, Mary Ann has, in her discussions with Mass Fish and Wildlife, one of the things that look like my work is to make it basically an ephemeral wildlife area, which she can go into a little more detail. But basically keeping the structure that you see out there as is, there will be no impermeable liner. There is some filter fabric that's there that basically, that this was excavated out, and there's basically the natural soil bottom beneath it. So the liner that's out there isn't necessarily a liner, it's just that the landscaping filter fabric. So what's being proposed is really to basically, reloam that basin area, and then have it replanted with a series of plants that Mary Ann can go into detail. There's a plant schedule here with the various plants that can be put in there. And then basically the existing stream channel would still follow its natural path, the way it was, and the man-made pipes that are there would be removed. With that, we're hoping basically this can continue to provide some stormwater treatment for the road runoff that comes through here currently before it gets to Morse Pond. A separate issue, just distinct from the restoration portion of this, which the violation was issued for. Currently, we found out the town does not have an easement to discharge, the stormwater from Main Street through the property. As part of that, there's an existing, 12-inch pipe that basically comes through the stone wall and discharges to the head of the ditch. As part of it, we did have a meeting with Bill Cundiff, town engineer, just preliminary to sort of talk about some ideas. In addition to, this providing some stormwater, treatment before it gets to Morse Pond, which Morse Pond also, he mentioned, feeds, I guess, part of the town's public water supply, so which makes it a little more, important to have some, form of best management practices through here. He would like to see, again, and this is something that is separate, that would have to be worked out between the town and Mr. Basil, to basically provide a deep sump catch basin or some other, originally we had talked about a possible forebay because of the way the pipe is there, but it sounds like the DPW would rather see a deep sump catch basin on the roadway to maybe redo this, and then an easement be provided to the town, provided, Mr. Basil can make an agreement with the town on that particular issue. I'd point that out just because it's sort of a separate, but kind of, leads to the value of having this remain as sort of a settling area as opposed to just a ditch running straight down into Morse Pond. With that, I guess, Mary Ann, if you could maybe talk a little bit about the plantings.
Yes, and maintaining... Jim.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay, so at this time, there is just a pipe that's in a stone wall from the street, and the runoff gathers or is swaled to that pipe? Or what does it look like
Actually,
from in the exterior?
I have a photograph of it,
Okay.
if I can.
And the white area inside the green, that's been untouched? Is that what that, okay.
That is correct. So basically, if you look, there's a picture of the pipe right there on the
Okay.
edge of the roadway.
All right.
It's just a corrugated metal pipe, It's been there for, obviously just, that's the low point in the roadway.
Yeah,
And
okay,
so the water
and that's where
falls.
everything goes. So your goal really is to do a retention pond, right? Or retention pond. So you're settling things and it will have to be some sort of maintenance with the sediment coming off the road.
Oh, somewhere up in here, there'd be something to take care of the sediment.
That's what
the
the-
forebay.
Or the deep sump catch basin is what Bill Cundiff would
Okay,
prefer.
okay,
This kind of renovation is more of a chemical.
okay.
And more sort of, I guess, as a stormwater wetlands.
Yeah.
Because the drainage ditch is already there, providing sort of a meandering flow, so it does provide some,
Filtration.
Toxin.
but
Yeah.
But
hopefully this will make
the,
it better.
but keeping the filter fabric there and maintaining that pool area, I'm just wondering, you're saying it's chemical filter.
Yeah, it's contact with the plants and kind of transforms the stuff that's in the stormwater into, kind of helps to biodegrade it. Plants that may uptake some of that stuff that's in the stormwater. Phosphates, nitrates.
I'm sorry, what does that?
The plants in this wetlands,
they're gonna be doing a
phosphates,
bunch of
nitrates, and
planting.
so on, that can be taken up by the plants.
Right, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the liner there. So can you tell me who this biologist was that you
Yes,
were
I'll show you his
getting-
email. I got it on the phone
And
right here.
who does he work for exactly?
Fish and Wildlife.
Do you mean US or state?
Massachusetts. He's over in Westboro.
Well, I'm looking, he's not listed here. If his name's Patrick, he's not on Natural Heritage.
Not Natural Heritage.
Well, that is
Fish
part
and-
of Fish and Wildlife, and there's no botanist who doesn't work
No,
there.
there's his address. 1 Rabbit Hill Road.
So he's working with the lands
Yes.
program.
Yes. Yeah, I went to drop off something for him, and they didn't know who he was initially. Then she eventually found him. So it's sort of an obscure program within Fish and Wildlife.
Thanks.
Okay. What this will look like, it will hold some water in the springtime, but that water will, be taken up by the plants. Evapotranspiration will occur. It'll also go down into the ground. It'll infiltrate the ground. We're looking to bring soil in on top of that filter. So there's some filtering that can go between it and the ground, so that there's some filtration that can occur between that and groundwater. And it would be to plant more water-loving things, some of the ferns and sedges and some of the herbaceous material in the middle, and then surround it with shrubs, so things with highbush blueberry, winterberry holly, speckled alder, and the 2 dogwood, silky dogwood, and red osier dogwood, and some pussy willows, and spice bush. And depending upon how water-loving they are, the spice bush might be in closer to the ferns, and the dogwood's a little further out.
So it'd be kind of almost like a rain garden that people build for their
Yeah, that might be a good
House
comparison.
rental.
Yeah, maybe be a very good comparison. But those
what it
types of
sounds like.
and those shrubs will be adding some berries and wildlife habitat value, and kind of creating a little thicket around there as well.
except people don't use filter fabric. They usually, none of them have ever lined.
Right.
No,
Stone
I'm not
lined.
sure that, I like that fabric staying in there. I'm trying to read this and understand it, but I'll tell you, I'm having trouble.
Okay.
So we're gonna place 8 to 12 inches of soil, which is loam compost mix, on top of the existing permeable fabric and sand substrate. Bring in loam and compost, 50-50 mix, and place in the pond bottom, which I think is restating the same thing. Mixing it with sandy substrate. I don't know how you do that if there is a permeable fabric, unless
The sand
the
is on
sand
top
is
of it.
on top.
Yes, it is.
And then there's
So-
the native soil underneath.
Fabric, and so the sand is right now just sitting exposed? I
Yes.
thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the sand
No,
with the
picture
fabric on
that
top.
shows it in pictures.
Okay,
And there's fabric. You can see some of the fabric exposed as well.
okay. To an elevation just below the surrounding wetland grade.
Right.
So does that grade maintain the hydrology? Because the edges of this pond is not necessarily the grade that we want this to be raised up to. Do you know what
You
I'm
want to
saying?
keep it below that grade, because that grade is the wetland here and here.
Right, but I'm sure it's deeper in the middle.
Right.
And so I'm not sure we want it all brought up.
It's not going to be all. It's
to
not going to
the
be level
edge grade.
across. It'll be still bullshit.
Oh, that's kind of what we need to know, though. What
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
is, I mean, this is hydrology, so we
Right.
need to know what is that angle? What is the grade you're going to have in
Well,
the
if you
center?
put 8 to 12 inches, it's 8 to 12 inches all the way across.
So you're going to mimic the current?
Exactly.
Well, then that should say that.
Okay.
Because right now, as you
Yeah.
have it written, you're bringing the whole puppy right up to that edge.
Actually, there's a detail over on the far right that shows the cross-section of
Right.
the basin.
Okay, well,
It
this should
shows it.
reflect that same thing, and the way it's written, it doesn't. So that's great. That's great as long as you're going to maintain that.
Yeah.
So that depression, or whatever you want to call it, will be a little shallower.
Right. And it has been, historically, shallower.
Meaning it used to be that way at one time? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah, there was a depression there previously. I mean,
And you talked about some plantings that would be made?
Yes.
But it would still solve somewhat of a purpose. I mean, it's not like it'll be completely nullified, right? You're getting drainage or water funneled from the street,
Yes,
and that's gonna still hold some of that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it's good. It gives, slow it down a little bit, give it some time, contact time with the plants and so on. And having some standing water in there in the springtime may not be a bad thing for salamanders and frogs. Or I don't know how long it'll stay. I don't know how ephemeral it'll be.
So there won't be any fish in this little pond?
No, it won't. The water won't last long enough for that.
So Art, you had some comments, you said you had some handouts for the board?
Sure, yeah,
I didn't
just,
print any.
I did a quick little comment sheet and I can pass that around. I can go over my thoughts there. So I, again, took a quick look at the plan. I like the concept of, the pre-treatment, certainly up by the road. I didn't actually mention that in my report, but that's technically outside of the wetland where they're talking about doing that pre-treatment, whether they're on the street side or the property side. I think just something to get the bulk of that sediment out, and eliminate it, because we walked down that swale and we saw that swale is lined with road sand, basically. There's been quite a bit of runoff from the street, obviously, in solids, discharging into the swale and onto the property. And, further up in the system you can, catch and remove that, the better. And, I think that's a great idea, rather than focusing. Originally there was discussion about using the pond that they were creating as more of a sediment trap, and I would say, yeah, definitely trap it, further up and outside the wetland. So my comment too, I commented on the, leaving the sand bed and the permeable geotextile in place. It will allow infiltration to groundwater and groundwater recharge through the sand and fabric, but technically, that material will restrict rooting. If we're talking about doing woody planting in that area, I'm concerned whether there's going to be enough of root depth above that fabric. Plus the fabric and sand, it does technically constitute, unpermitted fill in the wetland resource area. So, I just suggested that there needs to be a good justification to keep that sand and fabric in place. I haven't really heard a functional reason why we should keep it there. So I'm making that recommendation versus, the full removal and restoration of everything that's there. And other than the sand and fabric, I noticed that they're also talking about proposed rock overflow berm. It appears that they're doing that to contain the pond, to control the outlet from the pond. And I wanted to just see a detail and some more information on how that's configured. They have a detail of the pond itself, but it doesn't seem to show the outlet or the rock berm that's proposed, unless I missed it.
And actually, most of it, what we can do for that, Art, is again, we'd rather keep it more natural with the ditch that was there.
Yep.
So it's more just, because there's already a natural depression there, so most likely it'll just be a little bit of riprap to help prevent erosion.
Just to control the outlet. Yeah, if I could just, just a little detail on that would be helpful, because you're taking out the pipes that are there, right? And that's
So
where
can you
the-
show us on the plan so we're keeping up with you guys?
There's no detail.
Maybe Dave.
Is that outcrop? There's no detail.
The existing ditch ran down through here. So right here.
So, there it is.
And basically, that was just really, the purpose of that is to provide some riprap to help prevent erosion in that area during periods of high flow in the springtime.
They had installed some outlet pipes there, and they're gonna pull those out.
Correct. There were some pipes that were installed here that will be removed.
So if the pipes are removed, wouldn't the water flow therefore be lower velocity and over a wider surface area so that we'd be less concerned with erosion? In fact, we'd rather be improving the hydrology of the wetland that's being created?
I think their idea is where they're actually, where there's gonna be an impoundment, and that impoundment at some point is gonna overtop. Anytime you have that kind of overtopping, especially in like a flashy storm or something, if you
And by
have an
impoundment, you mean right here, this rim?
Yeah, well, that's gonna.
So that's gonna remain?
Contain the water.
So we're
Clarify your
not,
comment.
so we're not creating a continuous grade here then between the pond and the restored, the wetland,
Neighboring wetland, adjacent wetland.
the wetland restoration area.
Basically, you can see this is basically a bowl shape currently. It's basically a few feet in depth.
Yeah.
Okay, that will remain. It's just a small area here, where if you can picture, if this was just put back to the way it was, it would just be a straight ditch, 2 feet deep, that would run all the way down here. That ditch is still through there. Now there's a bowl that will be placed.
Yeah, and there was a shallow bowl before, too.
Yeah, I'm saying there's already a bowl there now.
Correct.
So you're not adding a bowl. There's,
It was
this already
excavated,
exists.
though.
Correct.
But you're gonna dig out this to turn this into wetland, yes?
No.
No, we're gonna basically remove that area. If you look at the photographs, was some of the vegetation was stripped. That will basically just be replanted.
That's what.
Yeah, there's really no,
So
there's no
you're
excavation.
not, is it already level?
Yes,
What is the, and is it flat with the berm?
yes, this area on this side. This was
Pitches
disturbed.
towards
Yeah,
it.
they excavate, you can see where the excavator for these pipes come down about here. So that area will be.
But this berm, if I were to walk off the edge of this berm, I would be walking on flat ground all this
Correct,
way.
yes.
Is there a slope, I would assume? I mean, we're
Probably
trying to
a
head
slight
towards
grade.
towards a pond.
Yes.
Said slopes.
Where the rocks are? Is that where it is?
Yeah, so right here, we're standing right here, looking towards,
Yeah,
The
so
berm.
I'm interested in the opposite direction. Do we have any pictures that show me standing on the berm and looking towards Morse Pond?
And let's also look at the other channel, the other side.
I think I took a picture in my first report. Actually, I don't have that file with me.
I don't have it on.
I guess I'm having trouble seeing how it's a proposed wetland restoration area if we are not
here you are.
bringing it down to the same hydrological contain, so that it's not connected hydrologically with the pond.
Yeah, I think the only place where they have fill to be removed is actually in the pond itself. And then there's some stockpiles they made
Stockpile
outside.
that came out of the pond, the old clay liner.
That's the bulk of the removal.
Do you see what I'm saying? How is it then going to actually function as a wetland restoration area?
It's the same elevation as the existing wetland.
As the berm, not the pond.
See the wetlands, see this highlighted line here?
Uh-huh.
Is the limit of the wetlands.
And the pond is lower than the wetland.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to know.
So you're all set with that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then my comment for it, I was just looking for a clarification because there's the hash marked area that's labeled proposed wetland restoration area, and then there's the ephemeral wildlife impoundment. The narrative seems to say the whole area is going to be replanted, but the note just says that the proposed restoration area will be replanted. Do you see? I just wanted to clarify that everything was going to be replanted. So maybe just maybe the whole thing needs to
Hash
be
that,
hashed.
yeah, just hash the pond.
And then just in following up a little bit on what Marianne's discussion on the invasive control and enhancement work, that was there, the restoration sequence item number 11. I just wanted to get more information to understand what they're proposing relative to there's a maintaining existing native shrubs and grasses and removing invasive plants. So that sentence kind of is saying a lot, but it needs some additional detail. And Mary Ann was talking about what
number
they
10 on
want to do, but I'd like to see that spelled out. And I think there was supposed to be another narrative eventually to go along with this plan.
Yeah, Patrick Conlon was creating a report for me.
Okay.
And what I'm
So
going to
you'll
have to do with him is send him another email.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is obviously progress and
Right.
something we're working on, so.
Well, I'd also like to say that I'm not in favor of any foliar spray. So topical application of a herbicide is one thing, foliar spray is a different thing. And I don't see, as much as we'd like to get that invasive out of there, I don't see any good reason to do that in a wetland, not any kind of spray in a wetland area, even on foliage.
I mean, there's a lot,
buffers on there.
you can do a lot with hand pulling too. I mean, it's obviously fairly laborious.
Well, that butterfly weed, you'll never get
Oh,
rid of.
yeah?
Yeah, but
You pull it and 10 more crumb.
But
It's gotta
that's
be
why you
killed.
cut the stem and you apply it to that, then that's
Yeah.
fine, and that's what his first option on here. But having the ore is, for me, not acceptable.
So no spray.
Right.
Yep, cut and treat, yep.
And then the alternative for that filter fabric, to remove it, is that an option?
I don't see why not, or, no. I mean, the big thing, like, it does provide a place, a barrier between the loam and the sand, so they don't mix too much, and also to prevent some of the invasives from coming up underneath.
Well,
And
the
that's something-
sand was
The
put
sand's
there.
gonna be removed, right?
Well, I'm looking
The
more
sand?
to Art's comment
Yeah.
and the rooting of those
Yeah,
woody
but he
plants.
also said the sand technically is fill anyways. So if you're gonna remove the,
Yeah,
You're gonna have
Tree
to,
organic.
the sand's on top of the
yeah,
fabric.
you're gonna have to take it out to get the fabric, so
The,
keep it
uh,
out and put more soil
Yeah, keep
in.
the sand out, because the
Well-
natural soil is under there.
I
Yeah,
have a landscaper that I've been working with, and we brought in loam and compost and sand to mix with it, because the loam is so, it's tight, even with compost in there, to try and add 1/3 of it being sand, so the sand is there already. I can get that information for you as far as creating a soil.
why don't you, if you spell that all out, so that, because
still with
yeah.
the filter fabric?
No, pull the sand,
Oh.
you've gotta pull the sand up to get to the filter fabric anyways. Pull the filter fabric out and then give us a proposal of how much sand you plan to mix
Mixing.
back in
The
to
compost
to
and
make
the-
a soil, but definitely not all the sand should be going back. And then Art, we're gonna ask
I don't know.
you,
Sand there
then we're
isn't
gonna
how
ask
much
you
there
if
is.
that
It
ratio
doesn't
looks
look
good
like
to
there's
you.
a ton. But
I'm confused, I
That's
thought
not
this- at one point somebody said the sand was mixed with
They're
other
going-
things
they
like
were
the
planning
loam
to
and
mix.
whatnot.
Yes.
But, I mean, the idea that you can remove it, if it's laying there as an isolated layer, like
Yeah,
a cake,
we'll
you
be
can
able to use
remove
it.
it.
Yeah, you
But
can.
if it's been mixed up, you can't remove it.
No, they were proposing to mix it as they add the new stuff, to stir it up with the sand. But the sand currently is like a layer cake right now, and you can take it out. And in fact,
Is that
they
right?
have to get to the fabric underneath.
Yeah. that's how
And
it's-
generally, I mean, they may need to use at least some of the sand. I mean, generally, a good ratio is a third compost, a third loam, and a third clean sand. It makes a nice planting medium, but, we'll just have to look a little bit more at what's there. and-
Yeah, I'd actually get an opinion too on the fabric.
I don't remember I remember being able to see the fabric through the sand, so.
yeah, she has a picture. Doesn't look like there's a lot of sand, but
It's not that much, yeah. I think they'll be able to use most of that.
and what sort of activity is happening after that little spillway? So with the restoration, I can't read
It's
one note.
It's basically, the vegetation was, the surface was altered.
Okay.
Grades weren't changed, but it was disturbed. And
Okay.
essentially seeding it with a wetland conservation mix.
Is it wet enough?
There, yes, it's still within the wetlands.
Okay.
And what's the substrate?
It's
Is it- I mean-
existing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
existing.
picture looks sandy.
It's like a loamy fine sand. I mean, I think there's,
I see that,
again,
yeah.
still some of the finer road sand probably made it down that much, but it's got a lot of organic.
You guys said it was this one, right?
Correct.
So that looks sufficient for seeding? Sufficiently enough
yeah.
organic?
The stuff right next to it's growing nicely.
That's got a good amount of organic.
We have 10-inch straw wattles planned. No, that's a 9-inch. For erosion control? I can't read it from here. It looks like 9, not 10. Take that back. When will you hear an answer for the front part, the catch basin?
Well, part of it was really to kind of tonight to come before you to present this, just to get some feedback, so before we proceed, to make sure we can get, now that we have Art's comments, we can kind of make those decisions, because I think it's important to point out also, again, this area in particular, just to point out that the town drainage from Southwest Main Street has been draining into this for quite a while. So the road sand and other stuff that is in here is from the town and not our client. So I think that's important to note. And part of this project will help to fix that. So hopefully, if we can design some sort of deep sump catch basin per the town engineer's suggestion, and if Mr. Basil can come to an agreement to provide an easement, that'll help just add to the treatment before this wetland area.
Now, dare I ask, are there any catch basins on the street?
No,
Okay,
not that section of roadway.
okay, you're sure?
Positive, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a
All
low
right.
point of sort of this little area here.
There's no, I didn't see any.
Okay.
There's no,
Pitches right to that.
subsurface.
Okay.
So hopefully the next step would be, I guess, to find out what, as far as procedure for resolving the violation, would it be finalizing the plan with those other, working out the details with the town engineer and submitting a notice of intent with this plan? Or is there,
I'm gonna do just under
it
enforcement.
would just be an enforcement order?
What's
I
your,
think the description, as long as the plan is good, I think it can be under the enforcement order.
I mean, technically, you can, the commission does have the ability, obviously, to, allow restoration under the enforcement order, as long as there's no quote-unquote new work or
Yes. And it's,
new material.
Additionally proposed so that drainage stuff work within the roadway?
you mean the
You're
culvert?
okay.
Well, that's outside our 100 anyway, isn't it?
No.
It's within the buffer. It's outside the wet.
Oh,
It's outside
up
the
here.
resource area.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider that as maintenance anyway, and if it's associated with the violation.
Right. Does the town have a blanket order for a roadway work? No? Okay. Some towns
We
have.
take
good
them
idea,
as, we
though.
take them as they come.
it's usually preferable to do enforcement orders, not notices of intent, because they're appealable.
I would be okay with adding whatever the town's gonna do up there onto this plan
Yeah.
as part of this enforcement order
Yeah.
remedy.
It's overall improvement, that's for sure.
Okay, so board, any other questions? Anybody in the audience? Any questions? So we want to make sure that on this plan too, when you're going to be treating the invasive species, we want to make sure that chemical is added to this plan, only as a topical treatment. Anybody else want anything else added?
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll continue this discussion until, when do you think you'll have these? In 2 weeks, the April 2nd?
I'm in Florida for those 2 weeks, so.
Okay.
I mean, by the time they get it ironed out with the town and everything, I'd say probably a month is more.
Okay, so we're looking at April 17th.
Yeah. You wanna be
Okay,
first?
well, we have a public hearing at 7, so 7:15?
Make a motion to continue the discussion on wetland restoration plan for 50 Southwest Main Street to April 17th at 7:15 PM.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great.
And if
Thank
we
you all.
can just have,
Thanks, Art.
What was the date?
17.
Just maybe ask one more quick regarding the annual. It was spread before.
It's a Tuesday.
Just wanted some clarification while the owner's here as to what took place in January. I guess we were informed that there's a denial, so we just want to make sure that Mr. Bays is aware of how that procedure works. We haven't received
You can
anything in
always
writing yet.
refile.
Oh, no, I understand, but we hadn't received anything in writing yet, so I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, we had sent that out. It went out, I'm sure it went out certified. It was several weeks ago. Gee, I don't have the folder here.
The ANRAD denial,
You
we
can-
haven't received any paperwork on that, so I just wanted to clarify, because we'd heard, when we met with Bill last week about it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the status is.
Yeah, it was because the engineering firm just said, sorry, we're not gonna show up tonight.
Oh,
And never asked for continuances, and then finally, we just didn't hear for two whole meetings,
Right.
anything. So
and
we
we only
just
had one
said,
meeting a month.
Yeah.
we're just not gonna keep that slot open for somebody who doesn't contact us or show up, so we denied it for lack of information, and
And Ms. Chairman, once I will say this again, at that point, we were not under contract to do any further work,
yeah.
just for the
The
record.
letter was from you guys.
Correct.
That's what she was talking about.
And if you want a copy of that, I'm sure Maria sent it out.
Okay, it would be, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
good to know.
So you can get a copy from her, see what happened, why it bounced back.
Oh, no, I totally understand, but I just wanted, because again, we hadn't received anything in writing, so I just wanted to make sure.
okay.
So,
All right, okay,
that
thank
was
you.
my question.
Thanks, Art. Good night.
Good to see you folks.
Good night.
And if you could just note this topic as discussion. even if
I
you wanna
did,
get- Okay,
on the book.
yeah, it's not a public meeting.
Whoa, discussion, 50
yeah.
Southwest Main.
And can we just follow up with Maria and make sure that was in fact sent out? Can we get a confirmation on that?
Yeah, in fact, I think I just saw
It'd be
it.
great if we have a copy of it, but in that case, we probably should have shown it to them.
I know, but I'd be here for 20 minutes looking at, because she's got next month's meeting stuff in here too. I just wish it was this week's.
Okay, well, we can always just ask her to put it in our folders or something.
Yeah, it was January 8th, and motion to deny.
We got stuff to sign.
It would have been January 8th, just let you
Well,
know.
maybe it's in,
Do you want me to do anything?
no. Just I'm trying to answer a question here. All right, there's the
The original's not even.
original area delineation. Usually she's got a big thing in here that would say deny. Well, that's not, oh, no, that's the application. Oh, well,
So,
anyway,
yeah, let's
they'll
just make a
have to
note
see
to her.
Maria.
Yeah.
All right, need copy of ANRAD denial.
And when will we address the fine for the violation?
We should have done that tonight. when they were
Probably.
here.
Yeah, so do you
Well,
want to
now
make,
we've got to,
why don't we make a note that that needs to be addressed at the next time, whatever you continued it to?
Yeah, typically when we, before we close it, we would vote on that, and then we can vote on the restoration plan.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a policy that we had to wait until we,
Oh, no, I know.
Until then,
But I don't
so I'm
think
just-
it's too late.
okay, well, the reason I'm going to keep raising it every freaking time that this comes up, and the reason I do that is because we have in the past had them just get lost in the shuffle. So we get busy with new stuff, with the new things that they're proposing, we get all into that, and then next thing you know, we failed
Well, we
to
did
issue.
vote,
we should have done it,
didn't we?
yes,
We
to
voted for
issue
the
them a
fine.
fine per day, so that
Yeah.
would be
Yeah, I
30,
made the motion.
90 days.
And then the
Nobody's
clock
delivered
stopped.
it.
The clock stopped because they did not receive an enforcement order.
Right.
So we know that they received it in February. At that point, they weren't working on it. So in that case, we could say it's a 1-day fine, meaning that
Next time, next
yeah.
meeting. Okay, so discuss fine.
I wasn't even thinking about it. I thought it was already done.
surprised.
sent-
That is
sent
why
in.
now you see why it is.
Well,
that
we
I keep
discussed it like
raising
3 or
these-
4 meetings ago that they
Why-
still hadn't been fined.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted
I
to
know,
deal with
yeah.
it tonight, because the more we keep putting these things off, they end up slipping through cracks, just like that, because we think we dealt with it already.
Okay.
Which, for good reason, you know?
Okay. So, oh, sign vouchers. Let's do
What's
that
this 40
before we all
Crescent Lane?
nod off. Oh, this came in probably 2 or 3 months ago. You and I was gonna go on a site walk and you couldn't make it. And then I rescheduled it to the Friday and you said you still couldn't make it. So I went out and Steve went out and we took some pictures. And because the guy wanted to remove
Oh, yeah.
some stuff in the buffer zone.
I remember that.
Without putting up the straw wattles first. So, and this is a long driveway. Let's see if I've got a plan. Oh, we do. So this is a new plan because down off of Shady Knoll and Crescent Lane, that's all underground utilities. And they go, it is? So the homeowner had no idea that it was underground utilities. So they proposed this plan with underground utilities. And this is, it's a shared driveway. And this is the part that he's coming
Homeowner
up
didn't
to.
know.
In the wetland, this is like a perched water table / vernal pool area. And there's going to be a pipe, because it does kind of overflow. You see where it says pipe anywhere in there?
Like in the original or in highlighter?
I don't know. Well, it was on the
Lot of highlighter
original.
happening. Proposed underground electric cable. Riprap.
Oh, right here.
Yeah,
There's a small pipe there.
yeah.
Yeah. So the area that's in, where all that stockpiled stuff is, with the pictures, is like up in this area. See, this is, if you're facing, it goes down the hill and around and then eventually gets up to here. And the driveway, the silt fence needs to go on the other side of these trees, and the driveway is only supposed to be this big. It's actually on somebody else's property. See how close it is? There's somebody's line. So they just want to, because this all has to be pushed over, so they want to get rid of the trees first before they put up the silt fence. And there's a pile of slash right here. You can look at the shiny, it's all stumps and stuff there. And the straw wattles are supposed to go like in the middle of that. And it's kind of hard to do. So they want to remove that stuff
This is
first.
an existing order of conditions.
Correct.
Okay.
But so this is
And-
where the existing order tells them to put in the erosion control, the
Yes,
XX
and
line.
the orange, and they want to remove the boulders, and then there's some,
Can't they just move
Slash.
the erosion control here?
Well, now you're
to their
going-
limit of work?
Now you're
This is
going into the
50.
woods.
yeah, you're closer.
The problem with doing this, though, is that you're kind of creating an opportunity for work to
Correct.
slip around behind. You never know, they could end up bulldozing this crap out of the way because, well, the erosion controls are out here, so we thought this was within the limit of work.
Well, they didn't want to put any erosion control up, right? Is that what the issue is?
No, they have
They
to-
want to cut trees and move boulders so that they can stick
Without
this.
putting the erosion control up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they do it
know
to put the erosion control up. Like, they're saying this erosion control is it's in the middle of all that stuff, see? Like, this is all boulders
And they can't put it
trees.
up on top of the stumps, and they'd have to move that stuff
And they
out.
can't
So
put it
what's
right
your
in.
remedy on this?
Let them move the stuff out,
Okay.
because it's, this is a slight slope. I mean, but this is steep. coming from here to here, and it's right on the corner. And they'd have to do it in a day,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay?
Yeah.
So this was basically for Steve to sign off on
So they're gonna
the
move it only just enough
building
to
permit.
get the erosion control in?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, is that written somewhere, that you will only move sufficient amounts to, I mean, that, I want.
No, it's not. It's because the original order conditions is already done and done and done, and then somebody went in and pushed this stuff here.
Oh, so it
And now the
wasn't,
guy wants to build his house, and he can't put his erosion control in because of that stuff has been pushed there when he bought it. And he can't push the driveway over more because there's a
he can't
property
move it
line.
this way, he can't move it this way because the property, well, he can move it that way, but we wouldn't want him to.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a small matter, only because we're right here at the 50. So, it's like, okay,
That's right.
if he stays right here, great, because you're between the 50 and the 100. But if this ends up getting a little wild.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're allowed to cut this, and start yanking, and boulders are not this big. The boulders could be this big for
Oh,
all
they're
we
big.
know.
I think so.
Right. So all I'm saying is that without something in writing saying you may only clear the width of 3
here's
feet to get an erosion, you don't need more than 3 feet to get the erosion control line in there.
Well, here's
You don't
some
like
boulders.
installing it at the limit, the 50 right here? You don't like installing it already? Having this installed?
Well, first off, the 50 is here.
Yeah. I don't
And
know
we
who
want it to
drew
hug-
this orange.
Yeah, right?
That's
We want
the
it to hug the road because this is where the work is taking place. And the other thing is that you don't know how much clearing they're gonna do back here. If you let them go to the 50, they'll be like, well, there was a boulder here, so I moved that. There was a tree here, so I cut that. Once you start saying, oh, let's put it on the 50, you're almost giving license.
Oh, no, I meant like, go like this. I don't think they need this part
Right,
over
but what if
here.
there's a boulder right here?
No, this whole area is boulders and stumps. They
So
need
what
to
I'm
remove all
saying is
that.
we should give them permission to move 3 feet of stuff and nothing more than that, because you only need 3 feet for an erosion control. So why give them 10 feet and
Well, we don't
and allow them to
have-
remove everything until then?
Precise 3 feet. I mean, what's the scale on this plan?
For erosion, yeah, but for the erosion control. She's
I'm saying
just
3
relay
feet,
the
3
erosion
feet from the
control.
road that they need. So wherever they need the road, you're allowed to remove stuff for 3 feet in order to get your erosion control hugging the edge of that road, the edge of that driveway.
But your impression is the rocks are more than 3 feet.
Well, yeah,
Your
but
rock
yes,
section.
but you see what I'm
and
saying,
they
you know
want
what I
to
mean?
be clearing out that rock and stump
Oh, they just want to, yeah, they just want to
Yeah.
have a party through there. And what I'm saying is, no, you can't have free reign to take 10 feet of stuff, a 10-foot wide swath of stuff out.
How about 5 feet?
Like,
I mean, if you don't have them put the erosion control on the backside, they're going to do what they want. They're not going to say, oh, 3 feet, 5 feet, 4 feet, just enough to put the erosion control in.
Why do you say that? But you feel comfortable that they're going to stay right on that 50-foot
I feel
buffer
like
line. I mean, that's a judgment
more
call.
of a no. I mean,
There's no line in the woods, man.
but if you put the erosion control in and you tell them, you can tell them right here.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying 50. I'm saying hug the road. I am saying go along here. I don't want them to hug the 50.
They want to take the rocks and the stumps out.
But if we leave it at that, we have no idea how much of that they're going to clear out to the 50. So you have to give them a number. I'm saying pick a number, but give them some kind of limitation. Don't just say, yeah, you can clear everything you need out of your way.
so
Because then we're gonna find a
basically,
lot of
from
stuff
the
taken
original line, they're allowed to go 2 feet extra. Maybe?
Well, she wants 5.
Oh,
From the original
From the
erosion
road.
control
Erosion control
line.
line.
It's here.
No, you're saying road up and
The
Lynn's
driveway
saying
right here, yeah.
erosion control
Look,
line.
they're almost exactly
see where
the
the
same.
orange stake is right
see?
here?
Okay, this is the edge of the road.
Yeah.
Here's the here's the erosion control line.
Yeah.
So just pick a number and say, don't go any farther than this from the road.
Okay. What's the scale in this?
1 inch equals 30.
You can use the road, or you can use the property line, whatever you want. Just have a reference and give them some quantitative way of knowing how much they're allowed to clear.
Do you think they're gonna know where the edge of the road is?
You tell me, what do you think's more reliable, edge of road or property line?
That's 15 feet right there from the edge of the road. Where's the property line?
Is that road in,
It's
is
really-
the
it's almost
existing road in as-built right now? No. So you can't say from the existing road,
Okay, so give
because
me
that is
a
not on this plan
line
as
to-
we see it.
Give me a line to go by.
From where the erosion control should be.
It's more
They're
reliable?
allowed, well, yes, because it's not there yet, whereas the road is there, but
Well, so
that
that's what
road
I'm
is
saying.
not on this plan.
Is this the property line?
Well, then
right
let's
here?
just say 5 feet from the road, because the road is already there. I can't
But
fix
the
it.
road could be here. We don't know exactly.
You think the road's gonna go anywhere? Do you think they're gonna move the road?
It could be encroaching more.
But do you ever think that they're actually gonna pick it up and change where the road is?
Yes, they are, because the road was not
Are we
put
gonna
in
get an
correctly.
as-built for that?
Because where it's crossing here, it's not really, the road is not there, it's up higher.
So are we gonna get an as-built on that? I mean, let's get that
They're
as-built
gonna abandon
ASAP.
that, because it was more of a logging road that they've put in.
Okay, quick question for you. Is this property line right here? This is what we're talking about. Right here. Tell them that, right? That's the line?
I'm guessing.
Okay, so if that's the line. Yeah, so I'd say 15 feet from the property line. If that is the property line, that would be good, right? They'll know where the property line is?
To here, but then you also have to have them stop it, because look, 15 feet's gonna get you way inside the 50-foot down here. So are
Oh,
they,
they're only touching this part. They're gonna continue the erosion control here at the normal spot.
how do we know that? Because of the orange?
Yeah.
Where's that orange line out in the field?
That's just the brush,
That's my point.
just a
That's my point. How do we know they're not gonna
hand-drawn
do this?
pile. Continue all the way with the 15
Right,
feet.
so now suddenly we're in there.
Isn't this all water
Well,
under the
then
bridge?
have them come back then.
They've already,
I'm trying to come up
We've
with a
already-
solution, and there's no good solution because we don't have enough information. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know.
I'm trying to come up with, stop it at a certain point.
I know.
15 feet from the side.
I think we need a
from the-
site walk. I think we ought to go out there and flag it and literally say, okay, you can move it to here, but we're not letting you go any farther
I'll
than here.
let Steve know we need to set up a sidewalk again.
Or can they just mark a line of stakes in the field where they
Well,
want to
the
clear
erosion
to?
control is already
the
there.
orange
It's
mark
already-
marks the
It's
lot.
the
It's-
staked.
Okay.
Wait, it
They
can't be
want- but
staked
it's
through the
staked-
boulder area.
Yes, well, they went from one end of the boulder, they put a stake there, and the other end of the mess, and they put another stake there, and it goes right through it.
Okay, so
So
if
the
that's
stakes are
the
there for the erosion
case.
control, but they want to move that stuff out first.
So if the stakes are there already, then you got 7 feet from the stake, just in the area where they can't get there.
So 7 feet, they can move 7 feet in
Yeah,
and put erosion control down,
yeah.
and then go back to the original site where they don't
Yes.
have to remove the stuff.
I'd like to see where this 50-foot is in the field relative to all that. Because they drew this orange line and we're hoping that that's exactly where it is. But what if they're also looking at boulders down here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we need to have that 50-foot
Well, I've
flagged.
seen the
Okay.
site. I took pictures, but they're very small. They're a lot smaller than that Steve has. So I'll have Steve contact you,
I think we
set up
know,
a site walk with the owner or the engineer who,
we just need it on the record where they're clearing, and I'll be fine. If you tell me this area, 3 by 50 feet by this, I think that would be fine.
okay, but you need a site
Yeah,
walk.
that's,
Well, I want to know where this area is,
Yeah.
and I don't know with orange highlighter exactly where this is in the field. If I go out in the field, am I going to say, am I on the
It's
highlighter?
right here. It's between that stake and there's another stake down
Okay, and do
here.
you feel confident that that's this point on this plan? That that is literally where,
Yes.
because we are talking about where the 50
Yes,
foot.
because it's just that, where it basically, and then it starts to curve, and that's where it's
But
ending.
it's not here. It's definitely up here.
Correct.
All right, if you're sure of that, then I
I
don't
am.
need a sidewalk.
Yep,
I'm
just a bunch of
impartial.
stumps and some rocks.
Well, we don't know
You
the
can see the
thickness of,
stumps
we don't know
here.
the width of the stump area, do we?
It's 10 feet, 15. I mean, there's the stump pile. And that's where the erosion control
That's-
is supposed to be.
That's where the
and that-
erosion control is.
And there's another stake
Yeah, see, I was thinking only
going
7
through
feet in.
that. So that might be 10, because it does slope down, and it's just a pile of
I'm fine to
stuff
wait.
there.
Do you want to give them
find
10,
what?
you want
I
to give them
can
10
wait.
feet?
Well, the problem is when you get to 10 feet right here, you're within the 50. If they're extending down this way.
But if you're comfortable that they know exactly where to stop, then I'm fine with that. My only concern about crossing over was that we had no idea when they were gonna actually stop. But if you're very confident that those two stakes are right here and that they don't go beyond into the 50-foot buffer, if you have that confidence, then I'm happy to go for it.
Well, the erosion control is in the 50 here. It's in that marker line.
You mean the existing erosion control
Correct.
is along that 50?
Correct, it's right there.
Okay. Then I'm fine with saying, great, you have 10 feet to play with, people. You can remove
the
the,
staked erosion control line,
yeah,
not within the 50-foot buffer though.
that's a great way to put it. And, you can see if you can hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get up to 10 feet for removal from the erosion control line, but not into the 50 foot.
Okay. And now the utility poles, all these are little utility, not poles, but it's underground utilities they're putting in, which is not on the original plan. So is that okay? Because that
So they
would
have to
be a
dig a
minor
trench?
change, yes,
So-
or not a minor change.
How are they doing that on somebody else's property? Because now they're on the
It's
other
a shared
side.
driveway.
I'm fine with that. They're digging the road up anyway. Do they have the specs on that for the depth of the underground utilities? Yeah, here it is. Where did I see it? Proposed restaurant. Oh, proposed.
There was no proposed on the original plan for underground.
No, they have underground
Oh, this is
electric
for
right here.
2018, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't say what
but it doesn't
is.
say how deep. But it's all on the opposite
Yeah.
side of the erosion control, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, me too.
Okay,
Further away,
utilities,
yeah.
okay. Okay, so I'll let Steve know that that's what they're to do. Finally. Are we happy?
I don't know if Randy is, but I'm decently happy.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Okay. All right,
It's done.
so the vouchers.
Done is good.
Vouchers. These are the,
Did you do any of the minutes?
oh, here's the denial. Oh, in the to be signed. Why would you put it in the to be signed? It's already been signed. That was
The voucher thing signed?
signed on
Oh my god.
3/5.
2-5.
She didn't send it out. Because I told her what to write.
And she didn't change it.
I
And she
don't
didn't
know.
see it.
We're having some
I could
very,
have sworn that she did.
what's going on? We're having a lot of administrative issues this year since January. What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, this was a good month ago when we denied that. Maybe
I thought you said we
two.
signed it.
We did.
3-2. 3-2 or 2-2? No, I said 2-2.
3/2. 3/5, date of issuance.
That was just last meeting, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Are
right.
you sure?
It's 3/5.
We voted on it on, the January 8th meeting.
It was, and then it did get forgotten.
Well, what's going on here? So, I mean, what, in
We
addition
had
to
asked-
fixing this immediate issue, though, we've had about 3 or 4 different things happen since January 1.
We've also had an agent who was,
No, but yeah, but this
you
is
know,
not.
I mean, but
this is more administrative. This is not agent
yes,
necessarily.
if nobody tells Maria to do it,
Yeah.
So we need to be communicating directly to Maria what we need done, and we need it to be in.
but we're asking somebody else to do it, and we thought it was done.
So
So that's when I went to
Okay, what I'm
Maria
trying
and
to
said,
say
was
is-
it done?
What I'm trying to say is we need a constructive checklist that says, these are the 5 things we need sent out, this one we need a copy of, and this we need, and then we need actually to receive a checklist, so we need to hand her a checklist and
Like
have her
even for
check
this
it.
stuff, for deer crossings, certificate of
Absolutely,
compliances.
everything. Whatever
Oh,
needs to be
You're in
done.
charge.
No, you've got the paperwork, I don't have it, otherwise you're gonna have to pull that card over here, and I'm
I'm
gonna have
not
to be
the
in charge of paperwork.
secretary. I'm the chair. I mean, I write down on the agenda
All
what
right.
we're asking to do.
Vice Chair, are you gonna be in charge of keeping paperwork straight?
I said, do you need me to help you?
So that's the thing, are you willing to
I
hand
think
over some of
that-
this to her so that we can get the paperwork done?
Sure,
Great.
she wants to.
Well, you guys, this is, we have to pick up the slack at
I
the
mean,
moment because
I
things are
tell
going
Maria
on.
what, I
I'm
keep
just
all
trying to
of
come up
my
with
agendas.
constructive, I hear that. It's not a blame game, it's a, what is a constructive solution from today forward? I'm not going backwards, I'm saying, what can we do today to not have any more of this happening? Because we're having it happen enough that it's actually making, impacts on the people coming in, and this should not be happening to them. And we have a responsibility to make sure the paperwork is going all the way where we say it's going. Plus, we don't want to be telling people who are sitting at the table, oh, that definitely, ba-ba-ba-ba, when we don't actually know that that definitely went wherever the heck. We think it does, it usually does, it should have, but we don't know that. And so if we're going to say things like that to people, we need to actually know it. And if we are missing a link in the chain right now, then we need to come up with a stopgap for that. And so a stopgap would be that we keep track of our paperwork, and when we need something to happen, we have a checklist so that we go, did that get checked off by Maria? Yep, she says that's in the mail. So now we really can say that's officially in the mail. So I'm just trying to propose a solution for the time being so that we're having way too many things slip through the cracks. And so I'm trying to catch that.
So I think everything that we sign, we can make a note of.
It's not everything that we sign, it's that what we want to have
And
done, too.
anything that
Stuff
needs an
that's not
action.
signed.
So then, if we can't get that done, like you had made
Like,
revisions.
this wasn't even typed up to be signed, even
So,
though we
but we
voted on it in
signed it.
January. We didn't sign it until March, and now it still looks like it
We got
hasn't
that.
gone
Do you see?
out.
She's trying to say, how do we move forward? And so you are suggesting that everything that needs to be done be written
Either
down.
denials or whatever's voted on that has, because that goes back to like when Mike says, oh, this wasn't checked off, the conditions aren't added, that's what's happening, that this is actually not getting revised, but we have our signatures there. So when we're signing it and there needs to be revisions, I mean, we can just have a running
why-
tally of things
Exactly.
that we've signed.
And why didn't it go in the mail?
Well, so again,
It never came out of the to be signed folder.
It's where it was.
Yeah, it never came out.
okay, I'm trying to keep us moving productively
right,
forward.
so-
So a checklist of action tasks. Anything, a Maria action task list, which is, okay, this needs to be put in the mail. This needs to be typed up. This needs to be revised, typed up, and put in the mail. This needs blah, blah. Action points that all she has to do is do a tick mark. When it's done, tick mark. Then she gives us that back at the next meeting so that we know which things did get out and which things didn't and why they didn't, because maybe we still
That
needed
would
to do
need
something.
to go in front of Bill. He's her boss. I mean, that's, her, I'm sure she gave this to Steve and said,
Doesn't she
type this
type
up.
this? Steve doesn't type them.
No.
So what's the problem? So we just say, Maria, these are the things that we know you need to get done, and can you just check off which ones got done? This is not asking for new work. We are not asking for anything besides a check mark, and that's not asking for new
I
work.
think it's the surety that things are actually getting done.
Absolutely.
And it just needs to be a reminder. It's a reminder list.
And we want that checklist back so that we can see which things are done, and it's okay if things aren't, but we need to know that so that we don't say the opposite during a public meeting.
True.
Are we doing any more minutes tonight?
No.
Do we have any vouchers to sign?
We did one.
Yes, we do. I was on my way to getting to them when I found that.
At least we found it.
Yeah. The Deer Crossing. 68 Woodland Road.
Ask a question?
Sure.
This is very confusing. This all started when we brought up the idea, the signed vouchers issue, right? So a meeting or two ago, we had a voucher and we all signed it.
Okay.
And then what do you do with it at that point?
Put it back in the folder.
And it goes,
If it gets mailed, if it gets recorded,
that's all done by Maria.
we don't know. We
But it's-
hope.
That would not be
Yeah,
something
not
that
anymore.
Steve would have to tell her to do, right? I mean, the fact that
No.
it's signed and back in the right folder.
I don't
she
think
should pick up
so.
on.
Sorry, I've got to back up on you guys here. So the 68 Woodland Road, what are we signing?
The road, the work
Certificate
never
of
commenced.
compliance.
It never began. It
So this is the
expired.
old DEP?
Correct.
Yeah, old
Okay,
DP number.
this one. All right, just checking because I knew that we continued that one.
And the next one is the other 64 Woodland Road, same thing.
It's one of these,
And then the 60 Woodland Road. Same thing.
partial things, is that what this was?
No, it's
Never
work never.
commenced.
Yeah.
And that's it.
She was gone for a while too, and town engineer was gone for a while, you know, vacation and stuff,
Oh.
last month or two.
Oh, didn't know that. I just saw him.
Well,
2 weeks
that's
ago?
a
Yeah.
follow-up to the idea that there's some
Nobody's
things
doing
falling through the
anything?
cracks, yeah.
Well, no, this is, since January, it fell through the cracks on just that
Yeah,
one thing.
Would you entertain a motion?
Adjourn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.